All right, welcome to Philly. I'm Chris Chavez in this weird setup that we have for our preview show. We're in Philly for Grand Slam track. Anderson Emerole, Eric Jenkins, Aisha Praught-Leer. This is a roundtable discussion.
Yeah.
To preview
I like
races.
it. Like, just the lead-in was very tense. I was like, I don't know where to look. I was just like staring down right at the floor. Yeah.
This is an episode of Traders. Oh, man. All right, so Grand Slam making its third stop of the year at Franklin Field this weekend. If you're in the area, there's still tickets available. Heard ticket sales are going pretty good. It's a really tough stadium to pack. I believe that upper bowl probably won't be touched just because it's so huge. But you know, I think the fans will turn out here. You've been to multiple Penn relays. Like the atmosphere here for that is electric. But again, like that's a very traditional meet. Like it's got years and years of history. People will come out for it. So like, what are your hopes and expectations for this third stop?
I think just building off the momentum from the last slams. Like the athletes, they've been loving it. The fans who have come to Kingston, Miami, they've been loving it. I think just like, regardless of the massive stadium, I think just like showing up, some great performances, just fans enjoying everything. I think, and we got it compact down to 2 days. Like, I think that's going to be a big factor.
Yeah, that's a huge. Like, we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, I'm excited to see how the 2 day the format goes. As long as the
what was your
weather
reaction
holds
to
out.
it? Because they cut out obviously like one of the distance races, and so now it's down to just the 3K.
We'll see. I mean, I did like. I liked having two long distance events. But you know, I think if it's better compacted just into 2 more action-packed days, better for the viewers, I guess. But we'll see. I did like having the 5 and 3 for the distance events, but you know, everyone, I'm sure they have their reasons.
Yeah, I think part of it was, you know, maybe a piece of it is ticket sales or whatever it is. Like a 3-day commitment for any track fan to an event like this is an F1, and so, you know, kudos to the league for being able to like pivot and change things really quick. Like, unfortunate for people who, you know, obviously made hotel reservations or flights that, you know, would get them in for Friday and bought tickets and all that stuff. But like, people have been issued refunds, and hopefully they're still around for at least like Saturday's races. But from a product standpoint, like now you have, you know, 2 days of racing in the broadcast window. That 2 hours of races is going to be more bang, 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 you know, less time at the analyst desk in between those events. But it also makes it much easier to understand in a sense, because it's like you have day 1 and then day 2 is all the slam champions are going to be crowned. So day 1, you'll only have one because of there's going to be one of the distance races. But so I think like that was part of the reason. And then when people are wondering like why 3K over 5K, again, I mean, when you pack, you know, 11 races into a 1-2 hour block,
They don't got time.
you don't have the time, right? And with how these races have been trending, it's like that's precious time. And kind of like I just came back from like one of the production meetings, and like they're like it's hard to like.
They're like, we don't have time for a 16-minute men's 5K.
No. Yeah, exactly. So that was partly why. But I guess, Aisha, what were your kind of like thoughts and takeaways from like the changes made from 2 to 3? Oh, Aisha's.
I think the move from 3 days to 2 days is the right move. I personally would like to see just a mega distance event at each slam. Like if in Aisha's perfect world, the first slam is a 5K. The next slam is a 3K. The next slam is maybe a steeplechase. The next slam is, I don't know, choose your own adventure. But like, I do think if we are going for the best of the best track athletes in the world, then the distance races should be bangers. And I think as someone who's so heavy in the game of track, that third day, I'm like, kind of get the point. Like, I do. Like, I've watched enough track. I'm really excited for the races, but it's such a commitment. Like, if you, as someone with a 9-to-5 job, I cannot give 3 days of track meets. When am I going to go grocery shopping? When am I going to, clean my house? Like, it is a commitment to get people to come out to a stadium for 3 days in a row. Like, let's be honest. Like, it has to be something really, really incredible to get people to come out and put their butts in a seat for 3 days in a row. So I think this is the right move.
I think there's gonna be people who are probably listening to this and watching it and being like, "Well, why didn't you guys say this like sooner?" It's like, well, from our standpoint too, as like content people, like you used to get 3 days worth of content, 4 with the day before, and so now we're down to 3 with today, and then the 2 days of races. So like we were happy in that sense, and we were all for just. From a business standpoint on our side of things, that was great for us. But from polishing the product and streamlining it, like this definitely makes sense. Now, if you're Grant Fisher, maybe you're a little upset because you had already cashed $200,000 checks, and now the most you can win over the next 2 slams is $100,000 across both if you win both.
So LA is going to be 2 days too.
That is, I think, what they're leaning towards.
Yeah, if I'm Grant, I'm like, are you joking?
Yeah.
I was raking it in. He's like, he's like reading the fine print of this contract. He's like, I feel like I should be able to I'm taking this to court.
Yeah. How would you feel about this format though? And I wonder if this is something like that they'll hear from some of the racers in those long distance groups. I think like it's a split opinion, right? Because like on the women's side, some of those long distance racers like an Elise Cranny or Nozomi Tanaka have been just so far apart in some of those races that this almost comes as a relief. It's like, all right, I can just focus on one really hard race because the Agnes and Gediches of the world are like making it very fast and difficult that like it just kind of splinters things. So now it's like, all right, at least the 3K will be a much closer thing. But then on the other side of things, like you have Grant who's like, well, this was so good for me and I was, having so much success over the 2. I wonder what feedback they'll get from the athletes. One that I was kind of thinking is like if you do want to save the 5K, in year 2 or something like that, and include fans in the community aspect of it, I say road race where Boulder just happened this past weekend, and I thought that atmosphere is just amazing. Where it's like you let the masses go. Is that how it is? It's masses go first, and then the pros later on in the afternoon, and then they're all welcomed into like a very full stadium. And I thought that was really cool. I think that's something that people could take a page out of. And then the second day, you go back to the 3K.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like the ideas like that are fun. It probably is very tough to organize.
Probably, yeah.
A road 5K.
Maybe. Depends on what cities.
Yeah. Lots of concern. Yeah. But and then they hit the roads, and he's like, oh, they're running even slower out here. He's like, great, yeah. But yeah, I am curious, like what the athletes think. I'm sure. So they don't. There's no 100,000 weekend for them.
No, if you're a long distance racer, then you're the max you can leave here with is $50,000.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm upset. Like you're upset.
Yeah.
Like even especially on the men's side, because like guys like Cooper have been making a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
With some races that aren't that, this is like fitting their style of racing, like sit and kick stuff.
Yeah, Cooper doesn't have another opportunity to go win 75K.
Nobody
or
does.
50K
like
or whatever.
Yeah, no one does. Yeah.
Like, it's just not.
It's not
unless
possible.
You're winning an Olympic medal, you're not making that kind of money.
So I would be very upset if I were them financially.
Yeah.
I wonder how this fits into the long term, race development and how it fits into their season, trying to peak at the right times for, USAs and hopefully world championships, things like that. Athlete, like you mentioned before, like the women's distance athletes are working very hard. Mm-hmm. Athletes like Elise are going, they're not in these slow tactical distance races like it is on the guy side. It's exhausting. And if you put in 8 of those over the course before USAs, that could be your season right there.
Yeah.
You could leave, you're stepping into the US trials completely exhausted because you've been having to race in Gedich 8 times throughout the season, as opposed to a guy like Cooper who is literally just so sharp and ready for a nice tactical US championship race. So, but it will be interesting to talk to those guys and see how they feel about, losing a race.
Yeah. And so one of the things that I think will be played up in this third stop is that now we're getting closer to the end, and so people have been racking up points. there's that extra $100,000 given to like the racer of the year, and there's some people who still have perfect scores. So you've got the likes of Melissa Jefferson-Wooden, Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone, Kenny Bednarek, and Alison Dos Santos, all who have 48 points and have swept all the races. So that's an extra $100K. Grant is up there in the standings, and now won't be able to. He won't be able to win. So like it'd be very difficult for a long distance racer to end up in that position. But I think it always, kind of favored the sprinters.
For sure. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of like the overarching changes going into this one. We've got a great cast of challengers coming into this. We have got some Olympic medalists like Georgia Hunter Bell. We've got Anna Cockrell. Then we've got, some intriguing changes with Sydney dropping down in the short hurdles. So let's get into it. Let's start unpacking some of these races. So we're going to go in order of the races that will be the race schedule. So this is great because, now we see most people on day one. So starting with the women's long hurdles, they're going in the 400-meter hurdles first on day one, and then doing the 400 on Sunday. And like we kind of said over the last two stops, that this gets so much more interesting without Sydney in the mix.
Yeah.
And so with the group here, now you've got Shamir Little, who was hurt going into Miami and opening up. Now extra month of training, back at it. Jasmine Jones, who's signed as a racer, finally gets to make her debut. She's actually never run. This is the most
she's never run a 400, right?
Never run an open
in her
400
career.
Ever.
Wow.
She's run a ton of 4x4s, but never done an open 400. It's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, she was a little bit banged up right before the Kingston Slam, and then has had a couple hiccups along the way, but good enough to race this weekend. I think just getting out there and starting is a good thing.
Yep.
And then I think the X factor in this one is obviously Anna Cockrell because she's the Olympic silver medalist. She's run, I think, one outdoor race so far, and it was the 300
hurdles. Yep. And she broke Sydney's American record in that. I mean, it was kind of like an old record, but
Sydney was in high school when she ran that.
Yeah.
Wow.
The funniest part about it, I think, is if you, whatever Anna Cockrell ran, I don't know what the time is off the top of my head, but if you freeze frame the women's 400 hurdles at the Olympics last year at the 300 hurdles mark. Sydney was still faster. So like there's an unofficial world record to all of this, and it's Sydney's split from the 300 mark at the Paris Olympics.
Sydney's like, you guys can't have anything.
Yeah.
Like, sorry. I'm too good.
Like, I own this. No, I do think, Anna is the X factor here, where she's probably the most dominant, like on paper, in terms of like you said, coming off the Olympic silver. Actually, she did open up this year. She ran 53 8 in the 400 hurdles.
PR, right?
No, not PR. No, she ran like 51
no,
at the Olympics.
yeah.
But it was one of her faster times for the early seasons. So Anna, I feel like even though most of these women are not necessarily like 400 runners, probably outside of like Shamir, Anna, I think, is one who is really going to bring some presence into this field.
She ran a 400 PR. That's what got me confused. 52:44, which is really close to her 400 hurdles.
Well, she's run 51 in the hurdle, so it's like, that's crazy. So, I mean, the fact that she's coming off a PR there, that's insane. So, Anna, I think that she's probably a slight favorite in this field. I do like Delilah in Kingston. She got second place overall to Sydney, and she's kind of on a retirement tour, in 2025. She's running all over the place. I think she wants to really show up here as well.
It's been a quiet month for her. I don't think she's probably been training. She hasn't competed since Botswana, I think, on that weird track.
Very weird.
Yeah. But no, I think that this is, again, like we said, like very wide open without Sydney, and that makes it more fun.
Yeah.
So,
and shout out to Jasmine. Like you said, she's a racer. She's opening up here. I think in your interview with Joanna Hayes, she was like talking about the injuries she went through, and it's like, all right, let's just come out and compete, see where we're at. So this should be interesting for her.
That's the crazy part about someone like Jasmine Jones is that we have to remember that this is last year was only like her second year fully doing the 400 hurdles.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And she finished fourth at the Olympic Games, won the NCAA title. And the fact that it was Coach Hayes who guided Sydney in the first couple of years of being a professional, that like she's got the playbook, and like who knows like what the ceiling is like for Jasmine Jones, because she's so young as well. So
she's just getting started.
I'm excited for her. All right, so then right after that, men's 400 hurdles in the long hurdles group. This is right now the Alison Dos Santos show.
Yeah.
Does he sweep again?
That's the question,
That's
right?
the question. I think he does. He's in crazy form right now. He even like before Miami, it was like a question with Chris Robinson because he had run a faster 400. It was like, all right, Allison versus Chris, and then Allison just comes out, sweeps 400 hurdles and the 400. Like he's in excellent form. He is in excellent form. I think it's gonna be hard for anyone to actually take him down.
Because he ran that 400 in 44:53, which like it was faster than Muzala Samakanga in
Which
the
is
last
crazy.
meet.
Yeah.
So like he is untouchable right now, and if he's only progressing as the season goes, like honestly, like I'm excited for what he's gonna do here. But then ultimately, like he's got a showdown with Carson Warholm and Ry Benjamin coming up in the Diamond League.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
He's prepping up for that. I think that
When is that?
that's in
First
second
week of June?
first
Yeah.
or second week of June. Yeah. So he like
sharp.
and Allison is someone who competes very frequently, like year in year out. So this is no different for him, where he's like running 4 hurdles, running 400 against some of the best guys. I think he's just in a comfort zone right now, where I don't know. I feel like he's absolutely untouchable. But yeah,
I also love the confidence going into that matchup
yeah.
in the first week of June. Like he's winning,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
the power of winning once that snowballs, like you kind of can't lose. Like you just get on this roll. So I want to see, I want to see another sweep here, and then bring that momentum into the Diamond League.
I think when it is all said and done after LA, in LA, the big question is, are they going to get Carson Warholm to show up? Kind of unlikely. Are you going to get Ry Benjamin to show up? Maybe. It's in his backyard. We'll see how those 2 races for him go in Stockholm and Oslo.
Yeah.
That right now, if you assess like everyone's chances of like coming away with the extra $100,000, Dos Santos is in the best position because Kenny might be, Kenny's still got a big target on his back in the short sprints, and maybe the field gets even stronger in LA. That's what all signs are pointing towards, is like LA is going to be this banger of a meet, in all of the events, that maybe someone finally does take a point or two away from Kenny. And if Dos Santos just continues sweeping, or if, in the grand scheme of things, hypothetically, if Dos Santos and Kenny tie at the very end, it goes to the dominance score. And Dos Santos will get the edge because he's been so much better than everyone else in the 400 hurdles. So Dos Santos is looking at $500,000 worth of prize money in year 1 of Grand Slam track.
Let's freaking go.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Wait, so the dominance factor, it's there by how much the margin you're winning by, but it's like the 400 compared to the 100, 200. How are they deciding? Like,
There's
what's
this-
the
Like
there's an
percentage
algorithm
of
there. Yeah.
percentage of time ahead of your competitor.
Yeah. So like his 400 hurdles is what's going to win him the whole entire thing potentially.
Absolutely. Because, it's like even with like Kenny has been doing well in the 200s, but his gap against the rest of the field has not been as close as Allison in the 4 hurdles. And then even in Miami with the 400, it's just like he's been really dominating these fields. But I mean, there's some good guys, right?
Yeah.
These are some quality athletes. Where Trevor Bassett, he was in Miami. He actually did pretty well, overall. Chris Robinson got second place in Miami overall in both 400 hurdles and 400. So it's not to like say that any of these guys couldn't, sneak. Even in Kingston, we saw Chris Robinson run Alison Dos Santos to the line in that 400. So there's a world where he really can get pushed. But Allison is looking really, really good right now.
And then the big question, I guess, that's also going to be fun to watch in this one in particular is Caleb Dean, because like he goes so hard, and then it just always the 8th hurdle is where it kind of just unravels for him, and he's getting closer and closer each time. It's like whenever sometime the strategy is going to stick, and like he's going to figure out like what his threshold is to be able to attack the race, and who knows? Like, could this be it?
That's the thing. Like, you can only count him out until you can't count him out anymore.
Yeah.
Like, he can really show up, and if he shows up, then it's a big problem.
It's such a wild strategy to just be like, I'm going to go as hard as I possibly can. And it's like every single time he's like, doesn't quite have enough. He's like, I'm going to do it again, I think.
Go hard or suffer for the rest of your life.
Yeah. That 8th hurdle every time, he's like, I did it again.
But
I don't feel great.
I think, Anderson, the important thing to remember there is that, like, let's remove Dos Santos from the equation when we're watching these races, and then this is kind of like an indicator towards USA's.
Yeah, exactly. This is, all right, all these guys lining up. We got CJ Allen in here.
Yeah.
Like, it's like Alison Dos Santos is almost like a Sydney in this field, where you take her out, the rest of the entire field is super competitive, and the implications for the rest of the season. These guys are getting reps. These guys are getting a lot of competition against each other. Like, it's interesting. The dynamics are interesting.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on over to the men's short distance group. They'll start off with the 800 and then go 1500, which is honestly fascinating because Marco Arop, the Olympic silver medalist, has been the guy in the 800. He's a perfect 2 for 2 so far. And the way that he's run them, he just goes right to the front and then just, drops the hammer on everybody. And no one has really been there to fight him, even for taking the lead. Maybe a little bit you had Hangura in Miami, but I fully expect that this one is going to be the most challenged that Arop has been, because you've got Josh Hoey entering as a challenger, the world indoor champion, someone who was undefeated all of the indoor season and has never raced. The best part about Josh Hoey as a challenger in this is that this new Josh Hoey, right? Of course, 2025 edition. No one has raced him. None of the racers have raced him on the track. And I think in their careers, Cole Hawker, Yard Nagoose, Marco Arop, and Josh Kerr have never raced Josh Hoey on the track.
Well, yeah, Hoey's kind of like the breakout star of this season, of this year.
Because he's been all gas since
all
last
gas.
July.
He runs every race as hard as he possibly can. He's been setting. He got the American record indoors.
Both PRs of his, both his 800 and 15, are faster indoors than they are outdoors.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
far.
he's just on fire this year. I mean, this is like adding him and Hopple.
Hobbs.
Hobbs
Kessler.
Kessler. Yeah.
These are two guys that, like, I expect Kessler to do fantastic too. I mean, these are really like dynamic 815 guys. I think it's like, do I expect any? I think Arop is going to just do his thing again, especially on fresh legs. I think he's just going to go out there and do exactly what he's done the past couple meets. Which is very tough to beat. But yeah, Hoey is the guy who's been doing that in his races. He goes out and he likes to be in the front, pushing the pace. I don't know his strategy of like, do you really want to fight Marco
No.
for the lead? Like, no, like you probably want to, if he wants to come through and, blazing fast, which I expect he will do on fresh legs, don't fight him for it. You got a 15 tomorrow that you're going to need to be fresh for. This is, I mean, obviously I really love the short distance stuff, but the addition of Hoey and Kessler, I think is so exciting. It's going to make for a great meet.
And we can't forget about Elliot Giles. Like, he and
Yeah,
Hobbs
true.
Kessler have very similar profiles. Elliot Giles, I think he's run 143 and 328 or something, 329.
Yeah, I think
143 and then 330.
Yeah.
330, right at 330. Like, these are the middle of the Venn diagram of 8 and 1500. Like, they blow that open. Like, we look at the field and it's like, we have Marco being an 800 specialist. We have Cole being a 1500 meter specialist. And you're entering a couple guys into the chat that are that exact middle ground. And really, they do have an upper hand. Are they the best 1500 guy? No. Are they the best 800 guy? No, but they're the best of both. So this will be extremely compelling to see how they end up after the second race.
And now that Kerr's built got the win in Miami, I think he's going to come in with a whole different attitude, be a lot of confidence, going to be pretty tough to stop.
On top of that, Josh Kerr's training partner, Brandon Miller, just went out to Rabat and ran 143. So the 800 prowess there in that training group in and of itself is paying off dividends massively so far at this point in the season.
And it's, just getting the reps in against guys like Arop in the 800, 4 times in 4 months. I mean, it's going to just bode well for their speed, in the later part of the season.
I'm not as concerned about Josh Hoey because we've seen just how, I mean, it really is. The dude has not taken a break since July.
That's not good.
Really, his break was 3 days driving from, was it Eugene to Flagstaff or something like that? Last summer, and that's been it. And ever since then, he's just been training hard the whole time. So I'm less concerned about him, but more so Hobbs, this being his season opener. I don't really count the the Adidas showcase that they had up at their HQ where they ran on the roads in a parking lot. I think that this is on the track like a true race.
Yeah,
and,
I don't
like,
count like parking lot this stuff. Yeah. No, like a
But
like,
like
just a
race
rough
sharpness, is that
Oh,
a
yeah.
question? Like, how big of a question mark is that?
for sure. I mean, this is not necessarily besides a parking lot race.
Yeah.
This isn't where you want to. Oh, it's going to be a
Against
very
this field.
tough rust
Yeah.
bust, like against this field. He's very talented, and like he had a fantastic. I was super impressed with how he raced all throughout the trials, especially to make the team in the 15, and then how well he raced in the 800. Immediately after that, I thought was incredibly impressive. Made me a huge fan of him, and I think. But yes, like this is a very tough field to come in, not. Have it because I mean you've seen the guys who have been in doing the slams. It's taken some it's taken some rust busting from them to kind of look good in these last couple races. So it will be interesting for him.
Hobbs is 22 though. Like, I mean, you wake up and you're ready to race at age 22. Like I get more concerned.
You don't believe in rust busting for
There's
youngsters.
no rust to bust when you're 22 years old and you're fourth in the Olympic Games. Like, like you're good to go every day of the week. So I'm not really concerned about Hobbs. Big Hobbs fan.
Here's another thing that I got into like a back and forth with Mac texting when I was like kind of writing out the preview and thinking about just like, yes, it was very special for Hobbs to make both Olympic teams, reach the semifinals of both events. And when they announced the format for this league, everyone's first impression was like, well, Hobbs is going to clean up and like he's the perfect guy to be a racer for this event. And part of that is just because of how well he ran in the 800 last year and how fast it was. Then we see how the results looked in Miami, where you had, let's see, it was Yared runs 144, Josh and Cole run 145 low. That I was thinking, I was like, does that diminish in my head just like how unique that makes Hobbs in terms of just like as a I think we learned through Grand Slam that obviously great 1500 guys are going to be very good at the 800.
So you were in you and Max text argument. You were saying he's overrated.
That's basically in a way a little bit.
Max, like I disagree.
Mac disagrees.
You're like wrong. Yard Nagoose just ran 144.
Yeah, in a way, that's what I was. It's the nice way of saying that. But I was just thinking, I was like, I think that most of the world is now realizing, like, oh, these 15 guys are just so focused on the 15 that we don't get to see just how good they can be in the 800. That I was like, I don't know. Like, part of me doesn't think that, like, if you gave Yared more reps and if he would have run the trials in the 800, he could have possibly have made those teams. Then I think Mac pushed back at me and he was like, it's where you're losing sight. It's the fact that Hobbs was able to pull that off at the trials against how strong the U.S. is and then how fast the U.S. 800 field is. Is like, until any of these other guys replicate and show that they can do that, Hobbs is the more impressive athlete.
For sure, because also it's like, yes, you can talk about like, I think Yared could do this.
Yeah.
But it's like, he didn't do it.
Yeah.
Like Hobbs did it. And like you were just saying, the trials, think about how exhausting even just making to the 15 team is. You've got 3 rounds, cutthroat rounds, and then you have to run 330. What do you run? 331?
Yeah.
Hawker ran 330 for you have to run 331 just to make the team, and then the 8 starts.
I can't believe that he's
So
even
it's
lined
and
up
then
after
you were running like
Yeah.
what his PR was from the final, right?
Yeah.
So what did he ended up running in that final? Like 144, 143.
143, yeah.
So it's like, and that's on his 6th race of the, and those are 6 high pressure, very
High stress.
anxiety. Like those are not just come out time trial, at 9 p.m. at Stanford in a perfect conditions. Like these are trials settings.
Or you're just hanging out in Kingston having a great time.
Yeah.
Like this is like the
Very tough, yeah.
very high pressure, high stress situation. So it's not just the physical challenge. It's
Yeah.
also the mental challenge of being at, I think he was 21 at the time, being focused for the entire trials to execute 6 races. Like that's a different conversation.
Yeah, I guess like let's look at the sequence of what Hobbs ran at the trials. It was 1500 first round, 337, then 334, then 331 makes the team. And then after that, at the trials. He goes 146, 143, and then 143 again.
Yeah, get out of here, Chris.
Overrated.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's like, I don't know.
I'm not seeing it.
So then at the Olympics, he goes 336, 331, 329, and then that cooked him enough because then he goes 146, 146, and then just didn't make it to the.
But
to the 800
didn't make the final of the 800
right.
with 7 other of
he's
the best guys.
He's
in the world,
literally
you
the
know?
only man in the
Like-
world. That's actually a
Chris
really
is like,
fun thing
he's
to claim.
washed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
It's a very fun
tired.
thing to claim. Like you're the only man in the world who made the semifinals of the 800 and the 1500 at the same Olympic Games. So I'm not calling him overrated.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I think that other
Yes,
1500 guys can be rated higher
Well, I
too,
mean,
as 800.
It is because the only of the 15 guys that ran really fast in the 8, the only one I'm not surprised because I think Kerr's shown that he's run a lot of good 8s. Hawker is known for his foot speed. I am just impressed with Yared running 144.
Yeah.
Huge PR. And so like that was impressive because he was the top 15 guy in the 800, and if he keeps improving in the 8, then yeah, he is become, he's really working himself into being a much better athlete that could do things like making the 8 team possibly.
All right, so bringing it back to Philly, let's play a hypothetical here that in the 800 it goes Marco, Hoey.
Do you like that it's
Hobbs.
8 first? Do you like the
I think so, because then what it does here is that it gives Hawker, Nagoose, and Kerr like the sense of urgency that they have to plan for the second race, and they're going to be the ones who ultimately decide like how the hell are we going to try and get take Marco out of the running. You don't want him to be as close as he was last time, and then what the heck are we going to do about Josh Hoey, because it's not like you can. He beat Grant indoors and ran 333.
you got to just set Josh Hoey loose in that 15 on Sunday. If you're Josh Kerr, or if you're any of these 15 guys, like you do want it to be fast, but you don't really want to do the work. And now you put Josh Hoey in the mix, who's down to just hit the front usually, but it's going to be different with a very hard 800 the day before, and they're not. The last meet they didn't get a day in between, right? It was I think it was
back to back.
It was back-to-back days. So it's not like that's necessarily new to them, but we'll see how hard Marco makes this, and if anybody really has the legs for it. I think also Marco is a guy that's figuring out the 15, and the more 15s he runs against these guys, the better opportunity he has to beat them. And especially if they let it lag for a bit, if they don't make it hard, and you got Marco on your shoulder again, like eventually one of these times he's going to have the legs to finish it out.
So if you're putting your coach cap on and you're giving instructions to Josh Kerr, Cole Hawker, Yard Nagoose, you're saying let him go, let Hoey go.
Let Hoey I would hope that it's a fast 15.
Yeah.
Again in the 800 it's like, look, hold on. Because it's like Marco is going to do what he's done the last few races. He's going to maybe. I assume he will. It's worked perfectly for him up until this point. There's no reason to switch it up now. So like going on in the 8, try just race and trying to finish as close to first as possible, and then you would assume if Hoey is going to race like he has this whole season where he's been doing fantastically, he's going to be pushing it from the front. He seems to run most comfortably from the front. As I've said, he's got the wide arms. He likes to be throwing those elbows out. He wants to be in the front, not boxed in, and just and let him run in the front, and whatever their tactics is, whether it's 600, whether because last in Miami you saw Yared doing work in the front. He had that same attitude where it's like he wasn't really like pulling them along to crazy fast. 334, right, was the winning time, so it's just fast enough to string it out a bit. I would expect it's probably similar, maybe 333-ish.
Okay.
That would be, I think, probably my guess for the winning time.
This is a deep dive on the men's short distance group.
I love that.
This is deep. All right, let's get back to the sprints. We'll go men's short sprints. They go 200, then 100. And in this one, like so far, it's been the Kenny Bednarek show.
Yeah.
And the field of challengers in this one is most intriguing. So Fred Kerley still out, suspended until the conclusion of the legal proceedings in his case after, the rest in Miami. And then after that, who else is? Oblique Seville is out.
Oblique Seville is out. Yeah,
he was a little banged up at the
Atlanta City games.
Yeah.
So yeah. So Kenny B, Zarnell, those are the racers. But like you said, I really like this group of
the
challengers.
Yeah.
Christian Coleman is coming in. He's one of the top American sprinters. I mean, top sprinters in the world. But Christian Coleman coming in. Christian Miller, the former high school kid, now newly minted pro. He's coming in and he's been having a good season. And then you add in a few others like Andre DeGrasse. He was in Miami. Aaron Brown, also from Canada, he's entering the fold. So I really like this field. Even Udodi Onwuzurike, former from Stanford, NCAA champion, represents Nigeria. Like, this is a very good sprint field.
Yeah, is the question mark around this challenger field is just like, what Christian Coleman are we going to get here?
Yeah.
Because the one that
Has
we've
he
seen,
raced?
Yeah, he's raced.
Yeah, he's raced
a
a
couple
times actually. He's only run the 100 this year. He hasn't run the 200 yet.
Yeah,
But that is the question. Like,
his start has not been good.
his start hasn't been good. After he ran at the meet in the Continental Tour in Tokyo, and after that race, he did an interview. He was saying he's working on things. Like, he's waiting for things to kind of come together. He knows it's there. So I wonder if he's actually doing things in practice, because Christian Coleman is known for his start. Like, he is arguably one of the best starters in history in the sprint, in the 100 meters. I wonder if he's doing things in practice to work on other parts of his race where it's like, okay, I need to be better at the second half. I need to make sure I'm, working on my, middle phase of the race. So that might have been affecting his start. He still has time till USA's, but maybe him jumping into Grand Slam now, he's running the 200 and the 100. This may be an opportunity for him to put things together in a sense.
When you brought up Christian Miller, now the most intriguing thing about him is that, yes, in his first year as a pro, but he's already going to some of these, Golden Continental Tour meets. And when he was out there in both China and in Tokyo, he raced Coleman twice and beat him twice.
Yeah. Which is crazy to say for someone who, because even entering this year, he hadn't run since the Olympic trials. Like, he didn't run anything after that.
Such a long time.
Which is a long time for, especially someone who got a lot of hype, right?
Yeah.
Coming out of high school. So he's been doing very well for, I guess he's still 19 years old. Like, he's been doing very well. So now I would say, even though he was in the Concept Tour, he's been in some big meets, this is probably one of his biggest meets that he'll be in, because you're racing against Kenny B, Christian Coleman, Zarnell Hughes, and you have the big lights of Grand Slam track. So it'll be interesting to see how he does specifically here against this field.
There's a little familiarity here for Christian Miller, because actually Mac and I were here at the stadium last June when he ran 995 as a high schooler at New Balance Nationals on this very track. And so hopefully he's channeling like some of those vibes, into the race.
Yeah.
But really, I guess the biggest thing is like, can anyone stop Kenny? And as of right now, like, I just think no. He's getting cocky too. I know. I kind of like it.
I feel like this is like his year where he's like, all right, I'm winning, and like I'm feeling kind of comfortable.
I mean, things are turning up for Kenny right now, because it's like, if you think about it, Noah Lyles hurt, missed deadline in City Games.
Yep.
He's hurt.
Yeah.
How hurt?
I don't know.
Question mark.
Ankle tightness is what was the official.
It said.
I mean, any level of hurt at this, you're almost basically in June.
But he has the bye for the World Championship, so he
doesn't have to compete.
Great
but I mean,
point.
it's the
Still.
optics of it. You see Kenny like week or month after month, like killing it. He even went to the World Relays, and he ran amazing on the relay. So it's like the optics of Kenny B really doing well, and then Noah Lyles kind of like
you don't want one of your biggest competitors getting a full head of steam coming into like a championship time of the year. It's not good, especially when you don't have the full head of steam and you haven't raced.
Yeah.
So Kenny's on fire.
He really is.
I can't see anybody beating him.
I don't know.
In this meet,
the only person I could see is Zarnell Hughes. Zarnell Hughes is also doing very well.
In the two? Yeah. Would you say what's his best chance?
I don't know. The two, probably not.
Because it's so hard to extrapolate. Like, does this? So he ran 1955 wind dated
on a
straightaway track.
Yeah. So
what does that mean to you?
It doesn't mean he's like a 19.5 or a 19.6 runner. Doesn't mean any of that. Let's be clear. But it does just kind of continue on him being in some good form. Like, that proves that he is in some excellent form. Because also in that race was
that in the same Adidas parking lot?
Different parking lot.
Different parking lot.
Yeah.
This was in an actual park. So
in Atlanta.
yeah.
The
Okay.
other parking lot was in Germany. But we're
Okay,
doing a
got
lot
it.
of parking lot
I mean, it's
stuff
a lot
this
of like
year.
weird
Yeah.
situations that are going on.
Yeah.
with
A lot of parking lots.
A lot
lot
of
of stuff.
parking lot.
But he's the only guy. He's in some great form, and he finished second place overall in Kingston. He got, I think, third overall in Miami. So he's been continuing on. In this 200, though, I can't see anyone taking Kenny down.
Does it go to? Is it the order 200 then 100?
200, 100.
Yeah.
And that, I think, I know y'all were talking about it with the short distance guys. I think this will be interesting because they've always done 100, 200 in Kingston and Miami. For someone like Kenny B, I think he'll be solid. Zarnell Hughes, I think he'll be solid. I think for Christian Coleman, this actually, in my opinion, will be good because I see him as one of the better 200-meter runners in this field. He has a personal best of 19.8. Even last year at the Olympic trials, he missed a team in the 200 along with the 100 as well.
Right, yeah.
So I think this will maybe be a good race for Christian Coleman and probably a confidence booster to go into the 100 to hopefully do some damage there. But it'll be tough.
Yeah. And then Tobogo's hurt. So like, yeah, Kenny is sitting
Kenny's
very pretty
feeling
right now.
good.
Right now.
What are your guys' predictions for what he's going to do for this walk-in?
I
mean,
wouldn't be able to begin to tell you what he's going to do for this.
2
walk-in.
hours away from it.
Or 2 hours away. I set up a tent. I slept here last night because I can't wait to see what's going on.
You either so for the people who are drawing up like the order of the walk-ins, I would assume you have to put either Kenny at the very beginning or the very it's like he's like your headliner.
Yeah.
I mean, no one's really been putting in as much attention on the walk-ins as Kenny.
Yeah.
Do
I think we
you
need
put him
to
at
get
the beginning to get the hype going, or do you put him at the end to kind of see like close out the show?
I think you put him at the end.
I think I put him at the end. Also, if I'm Kenny, I'm requesting to be at the end because the athletes have to do the walk-ins and then also just kind of mingle and talk with everybody. And so, like, if you're Kenny and you've got this like very extravagant walkout, you don't want to. And then like you do this huge walkout, and then you're just like standing there, and I'm talking.
Yeah,
to you.
like, so where are you going after this?
Yeah.
What's your next meet?
Yeah. Kenny's like, look, I don't want to have to talk to Eric after the walkout. I'd prefer to go last and then get right to either the press conference or back to the hotel room.
I do have a request. I'm going to need to see your live reaction to Kenny's walk-in.
Oh yeah, let's do that. Let's.
Okay, yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Eric's like, sure.
We were talking about doing the live from the
Red
doing a
carpet.
live from the red carpet.
Eric and Aisha.
from the walkout for the walkouts.
Should we? I mean,
fun, but then we'd need we would.
I feel like we don't have the right outfits.
Yeah, no, we
Like,
would need to be way more dressed up.
Yeah, we might need to go shop
Hit
after
the
this
store,
really
yeah.
quick to make it back for the walk-ins. But
So this is the graphic that like Kenny put up,
Yeah.
kind of teasing
is
the
this
meet.
an Easter egg?
So what do we think? Is it an Easter egg? Like, is he going to come in dressed as like Game of Thrones? Is
that what that
Game of
is?
Thrones?
I think that's what that is. I don't know. I'm not a video game guy.
Prince of
I
Persia,
don't-
something like
I don't-
that.
I don't
know.
I don't understand the reference to Philadelphia when I see this.
Do you
It's
think
red,
it-
white, and
do you
blue?
think- Do you think?
What if he
do you think
comes
it
in-
needs to be?
what if he
Philadelphia
comes
reference?
in-
Oh,
like-
it's Assassin's Creed. Someone said it in the
Oh,
comments.
Assassin's
section.
Creed. That makes
Oh.
sense.
Is that?
But that's not based in Philly.
Yeah.
Whoa,
Yeah.
At all.
I
It's
want like a
like-
national treasure.
You were hoping like
I
Tom
was
Hanks,
hoping-
Philadelphia.
Yeah.
or give me like sexy Ben Franklin.
Yeah.
Just
Sexy
an
Ben-
idea.
Oh, imagine he comes out dressed as Ben Franklin, and then like his assistant that he's had at all these is like holding the kite for him. Like,
I mean, that would be
Yes.
That would hit.
yeah,
That would
He's
hit.
dressed as a kite.
with like a dog collar.
No, each slam it gets more degrading for his assistant. He's like, I don't even want to know what's going on in LA.
The ball gag.
Yeah, he's completely bound up for LA.
Leather.
Kenny's like, no, it will work. Trust me.
Right. This is the one.
They're gonna
Trust
like
me.
this in
Trust
LA.
me.
Yeah. He's like, fine, but no mingling with everyone after.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, Kenny's feeling confident this year. He's feeling
Yeah.
good.
for bringing us
Yeah, he's
back from the gutter.
Binding up and gagging his assistant.
Like-
You better be confident. Right.
All right. We find out in 2
Assistant,
hours.
blink twice if you need help.
Yeah. Well, he's wearing a mask, right? Like you can't even see him blink.
True, yeah.
Like Kenny has thought this
He's
through.
like, all I'm doing in here is blinking. No one's coming to the rescue.
I knew the drip check would take us somewhere fun. All right. Let's get back into it.
I don't know if we can talk about track anymore. Like,
all right, women's short sprints. They start with the 200, then they go 100. It's Gabby Thomas sticking in this event group to try and take down Melissa Jefferson, which she was unable to do in Miami. Lost the slam by 1 point.
Yeah, I mean, I want to give a shout out to Gabby for in Miami, even though she didn't win. Like, she was disappointed. Like, that was one of the things.
It shows that these races mean something.
Matter. Yeah, these matter. And
it's not even about the money. Like, Gabby rakes in money.
Yeah, Gabby's good. Gabby is good.
It's more about just like, I really want the title.
I want the title, yeah. But is she going to be able to take down Melissa Jefferson-Wooden? Is she going to be able to even take down Tamara Davis, who also, I think, finished ahead of her? Well, not overall, but like in the 100, she finished ahead of her. So this is a competitive field that all these women are going to be in. And you introduced Dean Asher-Smith, who's I don't want to even say wild card. Like, she's a world champion in the 200. She's an a world silver medalist in the 100. Like, this is a very, very tough field.
So I think a couple things need to go right for Gabby here in order to come away with the slam title, because like Melissa Jefferson-Wooden has proven that like she's very good across both events.
Yeah.
And what needs to happen is Gabby needs a little help from some of the other athletes here. So Gabby needs to finish a little bit better, maybe one place better than she did in the 100, than she did in Miami. So she was fourth, right?
She was fourth overall in the 100, yeah.
So third or better will be amazing
That'll
for her.
set her up well.
But the first things first is the 200, right?
The 200 is first.
And so what she needs, the help she needs in that event is, one, take care of business, win the event that you won the Olympic gold medal in. But then on top of that, you have a couple challengers who have faster personal best than Melissa Jefferson-Wooden. And I think you're hoping that it bumps Melissa down fourth or worse.
Yeah.
Because what spelled, the loss for her in Miami was the fact that Melissa finished third.
So well. She got third place, yeah.
And so now Melissa beat Jenna, who's entering as a challenger, Jenna Prandini, in Kingston.
Yep.
So if she does that again, then that's one, competitor that probably would have helped
Gabby.
Yeah. So I think if you're Gabby, you're hoping that it falls Gabby, Dina, Jenna, Melissa. That's great news for you. Then you come back on the second day in the 100, and you just got to finish again fourth or better. I think.
Yeah.
At that point.
I think someone like Tamara Davis in this field, she probably holds the keys to a lot of different things. Because I think she'll finish like she can actually finish second place overall in the 100 and 2. And then, like you said, Gabby will need Tamara, Dina, Jenna, some combination of those to finish ahead of Melissa. But is that going to actually happen? Because Melissa is also thinking, I know what I need to do to actually win the overall slam. I need to do well in this 200, and that will set me up to, hopefully win the 100. That's going to be very tricky. And Melissa Jefferson, she got third in the 200 last time. She set a personal best. And she has a lot of her training partners here. Christian Coleman is here. Sha'Carri's here. She has Tania Marshall is competing here. There's a lot of momentum that I feel like she wants to win this.
Yeah. I mean, this is one of the, and I think major kudos here, I think, goes to someone like Gabby for sticking it out and all right, I'm going to stick in this group. And then, the cards are lining up very nicely for us as fans to get the matchup that are desiring, which is Gabby moves up to the long sprints for LA.
Sydney hopefully moves up.
Sydney, and then you get, I'm salivating at the thought. All right, that was the women's short sprints group. Now we go over to the women's long distance, which will be running the 3K and only the 3K on Saturday. I think the big thing here is that we're just going to expect tighter races. And Ejigayu Tai from Ethiopia, who won and swept both races in Kingston, is back. Then you got Agnes Ngedic, who won the slam title in Miami. We just had Beatrice Chibet run something sick in the 3K at the Diamond League last week. I don't think it'll go that fast.
8:14.
Was it 8:14?
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's so fast.
Yeah.
Oh, 8:11.
8:11.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah,
she almost
8:11.
puked. She almost puked.
Yeah. My head just snapped off my body.
Would have been such a good clip if you actually puked.
It would have been.
Keep that in mind for next time.
But I think the races will be tighter. I think Ty, Medina Isa, Agnes Ngedic, those will be your big three. Here at Mishesha actually beat Ngedic in Miami, but I I think that's going to be the core.
You think
four.
the race like this will be a tighter race?
Maybe.
I mean, I don't like they run so hard every time out. Like they
Yeah.
like I wouldn't be surprised if they just stretch this thing out again, like they've done the past couple races.
I think Weenie and Josette will go with though.
I think so too. I don't think you could sleep on Josette in this race. Josette
No.
just ran 4:01 at the same track like last month.
And ran a really good 3K indoor.
Yeah.
Like Josette is not afraid to get after
That's
it.
a great addition. Like
Yeah.
Josette's is someone who's
And
very talented. It's a good challenger.
the 3K is short if we really think about it. Like it is, you have more danger coming from a 1,500 meter specialist like Josette than maybe a 10K specialist coming down to the 3K. So I think we'll see Josette stick her teeth in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean that's the hope, honestly. Like after dropping the 5K, is that the races are a bit tighter, and I'm hoping to see a better performance out of Elise Cranny this time around. You just want better signs, trending towards.
And Elise has been someone who's so good on
Yeah.
when she's at her best, when she's really 100%, she's someone who's always running very well, always like fighting for the win. So it's just a bit like uncharacteristic of her to see her off the back, kind of getting dropped by the field, no matter how talented the field is. Like she's just not someone who's usually getting dropped. Hopefully things have been trending in the right direction as far as training goes. And, the last month since we've seen her in Miami, that she's gotten, a bit fitter and whatever she's needed to do. But she's someone who she's got a very fast 3K
She
PR.
does.
So
Yeah,
it's like,
I believe, is it the
she's,
American record or no?
I don't think she has the American record, but again, like that's how good she is. Like
Is it?
she might have.
I think maybe Carissa or Alicia Monson have the American record. I'm not positive. I do. I mean,
no,
Elise.
she has the outdoor record.
Oh, wow.
From
She has the
Lausanne last summer,
Okay,
8:25.
wow. 8:25. Okay. I do think, Elise has been pretty forthcoming on social media that like things aren't going perfectly. And it's also a reminder that like these athletes are human, right? Like we want to see like great performances time and time again, but this is also a new league, a new format, exposing yourself when you're not quite ready. Like, let's not forget that Elise is coming from, a long line of the Bowerman Track Club, where the paradigm there is like you race when you're ready.
It's like the exact opposite.
The exact opposite. So this might be difficult, like for her to step into an environment where maybe she's not exactly perfectly race ready, and to put yourself out on a global stage in a new, really exciting space with a lot of eyeballs, not quite ready. Like that could be challenging physically and psychologically. So let's hope that she's had, time to digest and be with her family. She got a dog. That's always happy.
Ooh.
Things are going well. So I think, we'll see Elise move in the right direction, or at least the direction that she needs to be moving.
Yeah.
Her dog's name.
I don't know. It's cute. It's like a little doodle looking thing.
I'll pull it up right here.
He's like, oh my god.
Cece.
He's like, how did I miss? He's like, how did I miss Cece?
Yeah.
What? She got a dog?
It's like a new revelation.
Nice. Change it. She's winning.
Yeah, he's like, what's her dog's name? But no, like you said, it is rare because athletes are so used to being able to dictate their own schedule, and you only race when the time is perfect. And when these fields are so competitive and so talented that when you aren't at 100% to line up against these athletes, you're going to get a little bit exposed, and it's just it's a new format, a new thing. So these are things but you want that because we want to see, no matter, you don't want to just see these athletes when they're at 100. You of course want to see them at 100%, but you also want to see them when they're at 90%. You want to see them as much as possible. So you have to a lot of people, if you're in Elise's position, would have just said, you know what, I'm going to pull out. I don't want to keep. I'm used to winning. I'm used to these certain times. I don't want to get my ass kicked again, race after race. So I'm going to pull out. But you have to tip your cap to her sticking in there, and you're going to eventually these types of you will benefit from this some way down the road.
All right, that is the women's long distance group. We shift on over to the women's long sprints group. Classic Paulino versus Nasser matchup here, I think.
Yeah, this is the head-to-head. I think the only question is, does Nasser get the better of Paulino this time, right? Nasser got the win in Kingston in that crazy 48.6, but then Paulino was like, nah, I'm not having that.
Mm-hmm.
Doubles back, comes back in Miami, gets the win.
In both.
400 and 200. Nasser, she ran one race since Miami. She ran at the, I think, Doha Diamond League, and comfortable kind of 400-meter race. But is she now coming back like, all right, I need to get the win here so that I can potentially win the overall slam or something like that, but just to kind of get my lick back. But is that actually going to happen? That's, I think, the question.
I'm excited here for, yes, that classic, duel never gets old. And I think Paulino's now 9-1 against Nasser in the 400. That improved to 10-1. Great. I mean, I think it'll solidify that she's once again the favorite. But again, we'll see if Nasser beats Paulino leading into LA. Even more for those storylines that we'll have. I'm particularly excited for Isabella Whitaker in this one because this is a homecoming. I mean, she's run on this track. Yeah. It was funny because I don't know all the ins and outs about the Penn track, but it's weird where they have that rail in the middle because lanes 1, 2, and 3 are not actually 400 meters.
Yeah. It's like a big circle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's why the 800 Sager is going to be pretty fascinating tomorrow. But in addition to that, I was watching at the warm-up track. She was telling some of the other athletes, that this is how the track here works.
She's giving a tour of it. Yeah.
Because everyone's like, what the heck is happening? Yeah. You're just splitting your watch. You're like, that can't be right.
I mean, the fastest alive or I'm the slowest alive.
Yeah. So
don't look at the watch. Don't. Time's out the window. Let's just race.
Home field advantage for her.
Yeah, it should be good. And what's crazy is
she was third in Miami.
She was third overall, and obviously this is her home track. When she ran the 400 in Miami, she ran out of lane 1, and she did pretty well. So now she's in lane 3 in the 400 tomorrow. So this is going to be really good for Isabella.
Yeah. So funny thing is, it's I guess have we explained it? Oh, Kyle did, I think, on the last preview show. It's just how the lanes work based off of world ranking, and so I think she was at a disadvantage coming out of the NCAA.
Yeah,
and now things are getting better.
Yeah.
All right. Next up was the men's long sprints, and they're starting off with the 400, which is fascinating here because I think that is the most intriguing race of this group because you have the storyline of Matthew Hudson-Smith is now 0 for 2 in trying to win a 400 here.
Yeah.
Sick and tired of finishing second. That's always been the storyline around him. Jareem Richards looks fantastic.
He's on one.
Muzal Samakanga trending in the right direction. And then Steven Gardiner, we have decided here at CITIUS MAG we're going to officially retire the stat that we were throwing around that said that Steven Gardiner has never lost a 400-meter race that he's finished since 2017. And, he's won world championships. But then we've really given him the benefit of the doubt with that stat because, he's gotten hurt at so many big stages. And then when it happened in Miami, I was like, okay, I think we're done saying that.
He's lost. He's lost.
He's lost. Yeah.
we gotta let that go. But
what are you looking for?
Did he finish the race?
No, he didn't.
Literally.
Well, I guess Chris is using the stat again.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking to see Jareem Richards as well as Matthew Hudson-Smith. I think those two are really specifically in the 400. Matthew Hudson-Smith, he got third in the 400 in Miami behind Jareem and of course Ja'Cory Patterson, who went crazy. Ja'Cory's not in this field, but Jareem is on one. He's really on one. Even at that Atlanta meet, he finished second to Zarnell Hughes in that 200. So we know he's a really strong 200 runner. But coming off what he did in Miami, he has a lot of momentum. He has a lot of confidence. But Matthew, I think he wants to get, some revenge.
Really does.
He really wants to get some revenge. He won the whole slam in Kingston. And then he didn't do as well in Miami. So I think he wants to really pick things back up. And especially in this 400, get a win.
I'm looking at just what Jareem split. It was 1986 and 44.32. That was a really good weekend for him.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
That was his weekend. So yeah, I think Jareem may be kind of the favorite overall when we're looking at the slam. But someone like Alex Ogando, in the 200, he'll do pretty well. He'll do very well, not pretty, but in the 400, he also did decently well in Miami as well. So
yeah, if he finishes higher than he did in Miami, then he'll be a threat on day 2.
He'll be strong. So yeah, and then I mean, you got Matthew Bowling is in this field. He's someone who's also kind of a wild card. Former indoor NCAA champion in the 200. He's been stepping things up in the 400. So this is a good field.
Is the Penn track fast for sprints?
Well, the interesting thing, it's fast in different realms. Like
Yeah.
we were talking about Christian Miller. He's run fast. Sometimes we see fast times at Penn Relays. But we've never seen a professional meet
Yeah.
of this caliber.
rarely run,
at Penn.
And the track was resurfaced too, I think, like
Recently, yeah.
last year.
Yeah.
So it very well could be fast.
You just
and
don't
this
see
may
it
be
enough, yeah.
Almost like the test case in a sense
Yeah.
of like top level pro athletes competing.
Yeah.
So mixed bag.
All right, moving on to the women's short distance. They go 15 and then 800. Now we've got 2/3 of the Paris Olympic podium from the 1500 with the addition of Georgia Hunter Bell. But then Nikki Hiltz is someone who has been knocking on the door of winning a slam title with runner-up finishes in both Kingston and Miami. What are the expectations and hopes for this one, Aisha?
From the announcement of Grand Slam and watching the Olympics last year, I wanted to see Georgia Hunter Bell race. She has been in the Diamond League final for both the 800 and the 1500. When we were talking about things that are difficult to do as a middle distance runner, that's very, very challenging. I wouldn't be surprised if Georgia wins this slam. Like, I really do think that she has when we talk about the Venn diagram of the skill set of having both skills locked down, I think she has it. But Nikki has been running incredibly well. Nikki's race prowess is incredible. So I think that is going to be the 1-2 here.
The 15 being first, like, how do you think it possibly shakes out? Because Jess Hull is I looked this up, 6-0 head-to-head against Georgia Bell in her career. And Nikki's got a ton of momentum. This is Georgia's season opener, has been training super hard I think it was in South Africa. You know they're training really hard when I think like Georgia's one of those British athletes. This is a very British thing. I think Mac has pointed it out that they're always on the ground.
Always on the ground.
Always on the ground. Every carousel on Instagram, keep scrolling. You're going to find a on the ground photo.
I have actually.
You noticed that too.
Well, I mostly just I think I just see it on what because I follow Whiteman.
Yeah, he's always on the ground.
He's on the ground a lot. I don't know if I've seen. I don't know if I would necessarily be bold enough to say it's just a British thing to say they're on the ground a lot. But again, I just don't follow enough.
You're saying it's
British
racist.
athlete. I'm not saying it's racist. Look, Chris, I'm not saying it's racist. I'm just saying be careful with what you're saying.
Yellow card.
Yeah. And you're a racist.
I do think that there, from what I've seen in my career, there are differences between like British training and other like British training versus the U.S. training.
Yeah,
I do
the
feel
British
like
people are on the ground a lot.
are on the ground
And we're on our feet.
And we're on our feet. But I do think that there is something happening where they're training, they're doing some like very, very all out reps that like people based in the US like aren't necessarily doing. Like I've heard through the grapevine and just like reading articles over time that like a lot of Brits don't run high mileage. Like it's very, like everything is quality. And I do think that lends to race sharpness. Like if you're in practice, like on the ground, like if you're getting completely cooked in practice, like maybe an American-based athlete does that 4 times a year, but it seems like the Brits are doing it continually because they're not running 85 miles a week. You know, if you're 3 times a week, if you're
well, they saw what Seb Coe did, and they go, "That works."
Yeah, Seb Coe's sprinting behind his dad's.
Yeah.
His
Mouth
dad's
just
car,
running the
just
exhaust pipe,
like huffing
running
from the exhaust pipe,
running 10 by 800 at 2 flat.
and they're like, "That worked. Let's do that."
Yeah. Next thing you know, they're like, and there he goes. He's on the ground at the end of every workout. You better be on the ground. Wait, so Georgia hasn't run. She hasn't raced yet.
No, not since World Indoors, where she came away with a bronze medal in the 1500. But I guess like the intriguing part about how she races is that this time last year, like she wasn't the top dog in these races. Like she was the breakout star, having banger after banger after banger, but no one looked at her in those races as being like, hey, like we have to watch out for her. And in the races that she didn't have as strong of a showing this past indoor season, she was the one trying to make those races and running more toward the front. She won at Millrose, but she wasn't the one making all the big moves. So that's why I'm so curious about how this 15 is going to unfold, where what is Georgia going to do to like which Georgia side of Georgia are we going to get? Because if you are racing with the kind of approach of like I'm the Olympic bronze medalist, everyone's going to want to look at me, and look at me in the race in terms of just like I'm going to be the one to make the move, then that's backfired on her a couple times. Maybe she's perfected it in practice and fallen to the ground as a result. But like that's what's going to make this first race, I think, so intriguing.
Yeah, and it's like it seems like you've seen Jess Hull look a little bit better each outing.
Yes,
like
I think so.
I think so. I think it's also better for Jess opening with the 15. I think she's definitely comes from the more 5K 15 strength background as opposed to someone like Nikki. Nikki's looked fantastic. They're right on the cusp of winning.
Yeah. The crazy part is that I'm looking at these, like none of these first couple of races from the first two slams in the 15 have not gone faster than 4:05. It's anyone's race, I think.
Who won the 15 in Miami?
Wasn't it Walteji?
Walteji.
Yeah.
Also,
no, it was Hailu. Hailu.
Isn't Walteji versus Georgia Bell? Like, doesn't Walteji? I was looking at like the head to head, and one of them has not ever lost to the other one, and I'm confusing. Like one of them is undefeated against the other.
I think so Hull is undefeated against Georgia Bell, and then I would presume that Georgia Bell is undefeated against Walteji because she finished higher than her at the Paris Olympics. Yeah, they're and at the World Indoor Championships.
And at World Indoors, yeah. These athletes race each other a lot. So they know each other's strengths, they know each other's weaknesses. I do think we could see some surprises of an Abby Caldwell going out to like try to, make the race go fast. A lot of Australians come to early season races sharper because of their reverse season. That's an interesting dynamic. We'll see how Mary Mora does in Mary's second 1500
of her career. Will she run the fourth lap or not?
Yeah.
She basically didn't. In Miami.
Yeah. She just cut the gas at the end of the 15 to make sure she could win the 800. But I do think this will be a compelling. This is always compelling. Like the 8:15 double is like what Grand Slam is all about. So. Will be fun to see for sure.
Yeah, they added the challengers in this event group on the men's and the women's. Really good. I would expect Georgia to not step in the lead. Don't take the lead. You've got the foot speed over 800. Why not just sit as long as possible? Especially like you haven't raced yet.
Yeah.
It's not really in your best interest to probably hit the front right away.
Yeah, do you see someone like a Nia Akins, Addie Wiley's in this one? Them being, I can't see them being the ones in the. Mac is whispering over there saying Addie's going to be the one that's going to lead, and then everyone else will probably catch.
So
up.
what has Addie run in the
15?
In the 15, she's a sub 4. Right?
Yeah, sub 4, and then already like off to like a fast start, 158 and 157 for 800 in 2 races so far.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we'll see. But whoever comes out on top, those top 3, I think on day 1, they're in the driver's seat.
It's so hard to wire these with this field. It's just it's like if you put yourself out there and take the lead in these 15s right off the jump, like it's going to be very hard, damn near impossible to hold on. Yeah,
unless you go run 350.
Yeah,
that.
It's just so hard to hold these athletes off and to not even just hold them. It'd be one thing if it's like, okay, I'm going to take it out hard and maybe one person out kicks me. It's like you can take it out hard and then end up still coming in like last. So it's like, what's the point? You have to find the balance of taking it out, but leaving enough to still finish stronger. It's a tough balance.
All right, let's shift on over to the short hurdles. We've got the men's going first. As always with the short hurdles group, it's the hurdles event first, and then the flat 100 on the second day of competition. So men's 110 hurdles will be first, and this one I'm a little upset because Sasha Zoya pulling out
Yeah,
takes a little bit away from it. Like he's always a sight to see.
For
Both
many
on and off the
reasons.
track. Yeah, for many reasons.
Green
And-
boat.
Is he who's the most handsome guy? Who's the most handsome Grand Slam guy?
Will, turn this off.
I mean, like you're gonna put Sasha Zoya up there. You obviously got to have probably Matthew Hudson-Smith somewhere in that top 3. Come on.
Yeah, come on.
You know what? Eric's just gonna answer the question.
Yeah, Eric, give me my.
Well, now I'm trying
round
to
out
thi-
the
now I'm
podium,
trying
round
to
out the
think.
podium.
Yeah,
Who's number 3?
is rounding out the podium?
Trey Cunningham.
Model.
Yeah, he is. He's stunning.
Yeah.
Well, that's a strong podium.
Thank
No matter,
you.
it's like how do you put who you got 1, 2, 3? Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, we got the top 3. That's all
Top
I need
3,
to know.
yeah.
Yeah.
And thank God Trey's back.
Yeah.
I mean, Sasha's out. That the short hurdles event has become like the most entertaining in the whole in the
guys talk
the
trash.
banter they've
Yeah.
got. The competition incredibly good. Like
Yeah.
Trey was one of the only guys me and Aisha were able to flag down multiple times in the
You guys
content
actually
creator
speak
zone.
with, right?
We actually spoke with him.
I think the duel here is Trey versus Cordell in terms of the hurdles, right? Cordell has the world lead, but Trey has been kind of like dominating and coming off the win that he had in Miami overall. So that's why I'm looking at as the top 2, and then everyone else will kind of be fighting for those spots. But yeah, Trey, Cordell, those are the guys right now.
I'm right with you. I think this room is about to get flipped soon into being the actual press conference, so we got to speed through these last 2 events. Women's 100 meter hurdles.
Yep.
It's the question is like, what is Sydney going to do in both that event and in the flat 100? That's the
Yeah.
most intriguing part. Unfortunately, Masai Russell out due to injury on this one, but and I was kind of watching as like some of the field changes were taking place. I was like, I think things are coming up Sydney here, where she might even be able to come away with the title.
It's still tough.
Yeah, she's not going to win the hurdles.
The
race.
hurdles, no. I think the question is how high does she finish in these hurdles? Because you still have Tia Jones, you have Akira Nugent, you have Daniel Williams coming back. A lot of women in this field are just all these women are actually drastically faster than Sydney. I think the question is, how fast can Sydney run, and how high can she actually finish up in this field?
Yeah, it'll be fun to see just one of the all-time greats of this sport look a little bit more human in the sense where like this is not her specialty event, and that's again props to her for stepping out of her comfort zone.
It's more fun
to take on this
Yeah.
event.
Yeah.
What's she run in the hurdles?
Her
before?
best is 12.61.
Yeah.
And I was looking it up. Every woman in this field has a faster season's best than her personal best.
Really?
Now, yeah, except Ditaji Kambunji. She actually ran 12.7 this past weekend as her season's opener. But this 12.61 is 12.65 is from 4 years ago, 21, sorry. So it's from some time ago. So she's going to run faster in a perfect world. It's just going to be very competitive. So she has to finish high enough so that she can do well in the 100. And we'll see.
Does
how
she
those
win the
points-
100?
That'll also be close. Akira Nugent did very well in Miami. I think she has the capabilities to win the 100 because there she has so much untapped potential. So, yeah, close.
Fascinating. All right, last one is the men's long distance group. Is Grant Fisher gonna? No, that's the last one. All right, we've got to speed this up. if
Max,
we're
like you're not talking about
gonna-
this. Yeah,
Is Grant Fisher gonna win it?
yeah,
Yeah.
I do think. Yeah, I don't see anybody.
Hagos is out. He would have been one of the guys to
yeah.
make it fast.
I think it's Grant's race to lose for sure.
All right. That does it for our preview show. Apologies for speeding through it right there at the very end.
Grant Fisher, that's it.
If you want to watch this, tune in. It's televised on the CW from 4 to 7 on Saturday, streaming on Peacock as well. And then on Sunday, it will be televised from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m., also on the CW and on Peacock. Follow along on CITIUS MAG for all of our interviews and coverage. We'll be back every night, and I won't be on the next show. Paul Hoff-Mahoney will be taking over for me, but then I'll back on Sunday. Thanks everyone for watching. Follow along and enjoy the slam. I love slamming.
I love slamming.
Love slamming.
Love slamming.